performers rarely say they are overwhelmed. They say it is manageable. They say it is temporary. They say they will adjust, and they continue delivering. On the surface, performance looks stable. Deadlines are met. Targets are achieved. Meetings continue. Results are produced. But sustained cognitive strain does not disappear simply because output is still being generated. Over time, something shifts. Strategic thinking narrows. Creative risk decreases. Patience shortens. Decision fatigue increases. Leaders begin reacting instead of thinking ahead. Productivity slowly moves from clarity-driven to effort-driven. And when performance becomes effort-driven, it becomes fragile. It requires more energy to maintain the same results. It becomes harder to innovate. Collaboration grows cautious. Burnout is not the first warning sign. Narrowing is. I'm Dr. Renee Sunday. I work with executive leaders and high-performing teams on sustainable performance and cognitive clarity. Over the years, I have seen capable organizations miss early warning signals because output still looked healthy. Performance can remain stable while clarity quietly declines. That is the risk. High achievers often absorb pressure instead of escalating it. They adapt to rising demands instead of renegotiating expectations. They stretch rather than restructure. Adaptation looks strong in the short term. Overextension shows up later. When the brain operates under sustained cognitive load, it shifts into protection mode. It prioritizes immediate execution over expansive thinking. It favors certainty over exploration. It protects short-term output at the expense of long-term range. That narrowing does not feel dramatic. It feels like being busy. It feels like pushing through. It feels responsible. But over time, the cost becomes visible in subtle ways. Strategic conversations become shorter. Innovation becomes incremental. Risk tolerance tightens. Leaders default to safer decisions because there is no margin to think broadly. You are still capable, still respected, still effective, but your mental bandwidth feels narrower. And when you get home, your mind is still running, not because the day was chaotic, but because your thinking never fully reset. That is hidden stress. It does not collapse performance. It compresses it. In many executive teams I have advised, revenue targets were achieved and dashboards looked healthy, yet decision quality plateaued. Cross-functional collaboration weakened. Long-term planning conversations were postponed because there was no space to think deeply. The organization was maintaining performance rather than strengthening it. That is the cost of hidden narrowing. This is where leadership becomes intentional. Hidden stress does not respond to intensity. It responds to structure. There is a disciplined response to narrowing. It is not dramatic. It is not reactive. It is structured. That structure is rest. Rest is not about stepping away from responsibility. It is about strengthening your capacity to carry it well. First, recognize, not recognize burnout. Recognize narrowing. Notice when conversations become transactional instead of strategic. Notice when innovation feels incremental instead of expansive. Notice when your thinking feels efficient but not imaginative. Recognition requires honesty, not crisis, not urgency, just awareness. Second, explore. Explore where pressure is accumulating. Explore which decisions are being compressed. Explore where clarity has been replaced with speed. Exploration is diagnostic. It is leadership maturity. When leaders explore patterns early, they prevent escalation later. Third, support. Support is structural. Clarify ownership. Establish decision boundaries. Reduce unnecessary meetings. Protect uninterrupted focus time. Support also means psychological safety. Leaders must create environments where pressure can be surfaced early rather than hidden until performance shifts. Encouraging time off without adjusting workload creates deferred pressure, not restoration. Support means adjusting systems, not offering slogans. Fourth, take action. Action is where recalibration becomes visible. Integrate recovery into workflow. Build thinking time into the calendar. Measure decision quality, not just output volume. Sustainable productivity requires cycles of focused effort followed by intentional pause and recalibration. Recovery sharpens judgment. It protects long term performance. This is not softness, this is strategy. High performance without cognitive margin is fragile. High performance with clarity is durable. Burnout is not the first warning sign, narrowing is. And leaders who address early narrowing protect innovation, decision quality, and long term results. If this resonates with you, check your stress level at restleader.com. In the next video, we will examine decision fatigue and how it quietly shapes executive clarity. Strong leadership begins with a clear mind.